coaching program, and a peer group collaboration to address business solutions. As we launch this cohort, we will count on our collaborators and our nominating partners to spread the word and identify businesses. So I want to thank all of you in advance. So let us all work together to support Hawaii businesses to sustain and to thrive well into the future. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Diego.
Thank you, Chris. Diego?
Thank you, Chris. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce the CEO of ICIC, the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City. Steve will share with us what ICIC is and our history and so much more. Steve?
Thanks, Diego. And before I even begin to talk about the program, a number of really heartfelt thanks. First of all, to you, Chris, for having set the table so eloquently and laid out the moral imperative as well as the economic imperative of this initiative at this particular moment, not only because of the pandemic, but particularly given the economic challenges faced by Hawaii and all of its islands. Joy, what can I say? You and we met over a year ago, and you've been such a wonderful guidepost to us. Your advice has been flawless. We put together an extraordinarily successful cohort last year, 70 small businesses, and your leadership was absolutely critical. So we thank you for your leadership and your hospitality. I want to thank Kaiser Permanente more generally, because Kaiser Permanente has been involved with us since 2015. You should know that in the years between 2016 and last year, we ran 14 different cohorts. Those cohorts helped create almost 1,400 new jobs. The businesses that went through the Kaiser cohorts had average revenue growth. These are just Kaiser cohorts, Kaiser-sponsored cohorts of 45%. And the Kaiser-sponsored companies have raised just shy of $67 million of capital. So thank you to Kaiser, and particularly thanks to Andaye Hill Espinoza, who's on the call today. Andaye plays a critical role in managing strategic partnerships and impact spending for Kaiser Permanente all over the country. Andaye, it's a pleasure to work with you once again on this cohort. I also want to thank Diego and mention his team of extraordinary professionals. Anna Marie Cruz, our Western Regional Manager. Anne Mariano, what can I say? We came to Hawaii last year. You came 3 times to Hawaii, managed a fabulous cohort. You're back this year to be our Senior Program Coordinator, along with your colleagues Maria Tata and Nadia Larasati. So thanks to the team. I want to thank all of you for joining us. ICIC and the Inner City Capital Connections program have built a strong foundation in Hawaii in just 1 year. I mentioned 70 small businesses that went through this program in 2019. That foundation will serve us extraordinarily well as we recruit for participants for this year's cohort. If each of you is willing to serve as a nominating partner this year, if you're willing to reach out to 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 or more small businesses that desperately need what we can provide, we'll have an extraordinary result when we come together for our training seminars on October 13th and 15th of this year. Together, our goal is to help grow and develop the small business ecosystem throughout Hawaii's most under-resourced neighborhoods and communities. As many of you know, one of ICIC's principal goals during the years since Harvard Business School professor Michael Porter started ICIC was to help narrow this country's racial wealth gap. And small business ownership has the capacity to change that reality. During the COVID crisis, during the COVID epidemic, disparities have been deeply distressing, disappointing, and destructive. Very few places know this better than the people of Hawaii. Access to capital, emergency technical assistance, and one-on-one coaching have been severely limited. ICIC and the Inner City Capital Connections program, in partnership with Kaiser Permanente and all of you, is here to help level the playing field and provide tools and strategies to help small businesses survive and thrive. So before I turn the program back over to Joy, who's got some wonderful speakers to introduce, let me just express some thanks to some of our friends without whom we could not have been so successful last year, without whom we could not have built the foundation. I mentioned Joy. Kaiser, by the way, in Hawaii nominated over 200 businesses in 2019. I want to thank Glenn Wakai, Senator from the Hawaii's 15th District, who's with us today. You'll be hearing Glenn shortly. He attended our kickoff last year and was involved from day one. I want to express our appreciation to Mana Up, to Mellie James, whom you'll hear in just a few minutes, and her partner, Brittany Hyde. They nominated a bunch of business last year, almost every one of which participated. I want to express our appreciation to my dear friend, Jerry Smith, Director of Business Development from the Maui Economic Development Board. He'll be speaking briefly. He nominated a bunch of businesses last year. They came from Maui, they participated. One even came to the national conference in Boston. I want to express appreciation to Leslie Wilkins, CEO of MEDB, who I believe is also with us today. To our alumni speakers, Jalene Kitzman, owner of NoHo Home, to Stacy Katakura, president and founder of Accumulus Visitors, and Ned Davis, owner of Maui Innovation Group, all of whom will be speaking shortly as alumni of the program. And finally, never want to leave out our partners who were such great nominating partners last year. So to Lyle Fujikawa from the state of Hawaii's DBEDT, who nominated 20 businesses last year, to Ann Weber and George Yarbrough from Impact Hub Honolulu, to Joseph Burns and Laurie Hiramatsu from Hawaii's SBDC, who were extremely active last year. I believe Joseph is with us today. To Susan Utsugi from Central Pacific Bank, who was a capital panelist for the 2019 Hawaii Opening Seminar. And finally, appreciation for their participation and for whatever they can do to be supportive of us this year as well as last year. To Andrea Cristina Kaimo, the Vice Consul and Economic Officer at the Philippine Consulate General in Honolulu, and also to Terry Funakoshi, COO of the YWCA at Oahu, who was a working group coach at the 2019 opening seminar. I think a well-known American politician once said, "It takes a village." That is in fact true. You're all part of that village. You're all part of our leadership. We're deeply grateful to all of you. And let me turn the mic back to Joy. Joy?
Thank you, Steve. That was great. And I echo the same and want to mahalo again to all our partners. And we hope we can recommit you to the work ahead and the second cohort. So with that, I'd like to introduce Senator Glenn Wakai, a little bit about Senator Wakai. He's the chair of Senate Committee on Economic Development, Tourism, and Technology. He's also the vice chair of the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental, and Military Affairs, and member of the Committee on Human Services and Ways and Means. You know, I'm personally a big fan of Senator Wakai simply because he brings this spirit of innovation, you know, always looking at, you know, disruptive, innovative ideas and how to promote economic development and diversifying our economy here in the state of Hawaii. And he also has, if I may add, an impressive background and work in the PR sector. So without further ado, Senator Wakai, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Joy. I try to live up to your name every single day of my life. You know, Joy and the rest on the call, we're in such a different time since that year ago when we launched the program. At the time, Hawaii was enjoying a decade of great visitor numbers. Arrivals were up, spending was up. But we saw that in March of this year, all of that fell apart. Instead of us embracing 35,000 visitors arriving each day, we're now getting about 600 visitors to our islands, and everything just kind of fell apart in March of this year. And, you know, that glorious 10-year run of tourism, during that time period, there was very little effort or necessity to diversify Hawaii's economy, and today we're seeing the error in that judgment. We're suffering the highest unemployment per capita in the nation due to our overdependence on tourism. And really, its revival is going to depend on factors that are well beyond our control. We have no vaccine. We don't have enough testing opportunities. There's going to be a lingering fear of travel globally. And those solutions are months, if not a year, away from us. And since our government is since our economy currently is in the toilet, our best friend has become the federal government. They've given us approximately $8 billion in financial assistance since COVID began. But our next best friend has become Kaiser and this ICCC program. I recall attending the events at the YWCA as well as the Pacific Club, and so many of us at the time were optimistic and excited. And what has happened? Kaiser has delivered on its promise to spur local entrepreneurship. To have 70 local businesses accepted and successfully completing the program is just phenomenal. That Kaiser stepped in where government really has a gaping hole. And it's sad to say that till this day, the state really has no economic revival plan. I've been a long advocate for DBED, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, to create a concierge service to help ideas become legitimate businesses. And in the wake of COVID, DBED did expand their platform, their website, to showcase Hawaii-made products. But build it and they will come works in the movies. It doesn't work in reality. Entrepreneurs need more than just a showcase for their products. They need financing, accounting, distribution, marketing, legal, HR. All of that the state doesn't help with. And thank you to Kaiser and ICCC, as well as Mana Up and other organizations that really help nurture our young entrepreneurs become successful. The state really needs to get moving on projects like the $350 million Aloha Stadium project, the relocation of OCCC, Oahu Prison. That's a $525 million project, but what have we given you? In the last week, we heard that the $1 billion Mayor Right housing redevelopment project just fell apart. This morning in the newspaper, we read about how it's going to be another 3 years before the 30-meter telescope. It's a $2.4 billion project. Another 3 years before we even begin to contemplate construction of this project that's going to create jobs. Pretty soon we're going to rename the 30-meter telescope into the 30-year telescope. The state really cannot, we're in no position to print money. And to be honest, the state has been failing its people. Our only strategy is to pray for more federal government and hope that ICCC and Kaiser can help, buttress our gaping holes in our economic development. I find it so refreshing to see a company stepping up to help the community. And what's even more impressive to me is that it's a healthcare provider leading this charge. We might expect a bank or maybe a developer to step into this space, but it's Kaiser. That is so awesome. They care about the health of our neighbors and the health of our economy. They're battling COVID in their hospitals and doing their best to mitigate COVID's devastating effects to our economy. We have an immense opportunity to rewrite Hawaii's economy and our economic future. And we thank Kaiser and ICCC for your dedication to the state of Hawaii. So thank you, Joy. Thank you to Steve, as well as Chris, for all that you've given to the people of the state and all that you will continue to give to the state.
Mahalo nui, Senator, for your comments. Really appreciate it. And now I'll turn over the mic to Mellie James. Very quickly, Mellie is the co-founder of Mana Up, and she's also the president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. Here in Hawaii, there is a saying that I will say boldly that if you don't know Mellie, then you don't know Hawaii, especially if you're talking about, in the startup and venture capital circuits. She has a lot of accolades, being a women leader, not just here, but in Hawaii, but also nationwide. A Cornell graduate, and I'll let Mellie do the talking without further ado. Mellie, take it away.
Thanks, Joy. Thanks, everyone. Good morning. Mana Up has been a proud partner with Kaiser and a very proud partner and collaborator with the ICCC program. To echo a little bit of what Senator Wakai was saying, there was so much excitement last year, especially with the kickoff at the Pacific Club, and we kind of felt like we were on this high in terms of the economy, and a lot of things have changed since then. And in our opinion, with Mana Up, it's really around, our companies need us now more. Economic development, diversifying our economy is even more important as we look at many of the challenges that we've seen here. So in terms of Mana Up, I'd love to share a little bit about who we are and what we're doing. And I apologize, someone decided to do some construction next door to my house today. So if you can hear that. We are an economic development initiative helping to grow the product industry here in Hawaii. You know, we're looking at being an economic growth engine to help create jobs, sustainable livelihood, to support the high cost of living in Hawaii and create these well-paying jobs and interesting jobs for locals. We launched about 3 years ago. We are now currently in our 5th cohort. We just kicked that off during COVID. We've been hosting all of our sessions remote. Thank goodness for Zoom, which we're on today. So love that, and love the breakout rooms too. But it's, you know, our companies need us now more than ever. The economy and diversifying the economy is more important than ever. And so, you know, I think it's so important, especially looking at Kaiser and having this program come here. You know, us being in the middle of the Pacific, many times we either just simply don't know about these types of programs, or they're just not available to us. And so being able to leverage additional resources, knowledge, access, mentorship is so important, and so thrilled that Kaiser has really taken this on, and the ICCC folks have come to Hawaii and really taken this on. We had a lot of companies apply last year, and we were very supportive of them taking on this additional resource. I can't tell you how many of them have said so many great things about going through the program, and I know we'll be hearing from Jaylene from Yoho Home later. But, you know, looking at the types of founders and the various types of companies that we work with, you know, we focus on product industry. In terms of our portfolio of our 51 companies, 100% are headquartered in Hawaii. 80% are actually manufacturing here. 60% of our companies are sourcing raw ingredient locally. 45% are Native Hawaiian, and actually 60% are female founded. So we always say we pick the best entrepreneurs. It just so happens it's an incredible, diverse group that we're working with, and then we know that's a really reflection of Hawaii. And in terms of our economic impact last year, which, you know, as an economic development initiative is very important for us as we continue to see growth of these companies to diversify the economy, and this is why this program is so important. Our 41 of our companies last year, so cohorts 1 through 4, represented 35 million in the state of Hawaii. They had a median growth rate of 48%. They had created over 300 jobs and expected to hire 87 more in the year. There are many of them still hiring, on $1 million in exports. So it's been interesting. E-commerce has been a interesting game here, digital marketing, and really seeing how that can level the playing field for our companies as they continue to grow and we continue to export and continue to diversify the economy. So I just want to thank Kaiser. They've been awesome partners, and the ICCC folks. Our companies had an incredible experience, and I really implore many of the support organizations here who do have access to more companies to encourage them to apply. We're really grateful that we were able to get access to additional resources like this that have been really impactful. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mellie. That was really great. And now I'd like to invite Jerry Smith, Director of Business Development with Maui Economic Development Board. We're also fortunate that Leslie Wilkins, from CEO of MEDB as well, is joining us. And I can't say enough good things about them. You know, last year when we started inaugural, I mean, there was a lot of, you know, figuring out to do. And, you know, I just appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit of Jerry, MEDB, Leslie, to just come forward and say, hey, we'd like to do this on Maui. What can we do? And so they actually marshaled their network and brought the resources together. So big mahalo to them. And a little bit about Jerry. Jerry is, as I mentioned, the director of MEDB's business development, but he has an impressive profile of work in East Coast and the Marshall Islands, where he served as the finance officer. He's also had 7 years of work in the banking industry, 10 years with SAIC as here in Honolulu as the Assistant Vice President and Director of the Pacific Rim. He's also served as a Program Manager for Northrop Grumman on Maui. And we're really happy to have you here, Jerry. So take it away. Mike is yours.
Thank you, Joy. Aloha, I'm Jerry Smith, and I'm currently the Director of Business Development for the Maui Economic Development Board. Little background, MEDB has really 3 target areas. We support innovation and business development. We have conference services, which support major conference events on Maui, like the AMOS Conference, the Hawaii Energy Conference, and the Hawaii Small Business Conference. And finally, we support STEM education throughout the entire islands. Last year around this time, I was invited to attend the ICCC kickoff in Honolulu, and we immediately recognized that there's a huge value to this program, and we wanted to bring it to Maui. And I want to take a second to really acknowledge the support from Kaiser and Joy for making this program come together for Maui. And of course, to Steve and his crew at ICIC for just doing incredible things. We sent one of our nominees to Boston for the national conference in November. And so you can think about the implications of a Maui boy going to Boston in November, and Steve took him under his wing. And Steve, I really thank you for doing that. Just a little background on Maui. It's rural. The tallest building is 9 stories. The primary industry is tourism. Up until a few years ago, there was a 27,000 acre sugar plantation. You can't drive anywhere to any major city from Maui. Anything that comes to Maui arrives on an airplane or a ship. And right now there are 165,000 residents on the island. So when you really think about it on the surface, Maui doesn't sound much like an inner city. But if you really think about it, we have a lot of inner city problems. Access to capital is an enormous issue. There are no major lending institutions or research universities headquartered here. Pre-COVID, many people were working 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Housing's incredibly expensive, and multi-generational family living is the norm. So for growth, businesses had to look outside of their small core area. And I read that currently Maui County has the 2nd highest unemployment rate of any nation, of any county in the nation. I believe Las Vegas is the first. One thing that Maui really does have going for it is the collaboration and sense of community that exists here. And so we looked at the ICCC program and wondered, how can we maximize that benefit to our Maui-based businesses? And so we nominated 6 businesses for the ICCC program, and we formed them together into a cohort. We call it a cohort. And so all 6 were in tech of some sort. And so the idea behind forming the cohort was to create a synergy amongst the group. And we were absolutely delighted that at the first meeting of the full cohort, they just started organically dispensing advice to each other, which was just fantastic. That was what we were looking for. And the other thing we did was we asked them, what do you want? What are your needs? How can we help you? And unsurprisingly, the answer was raising capital. So we pulled together a panel of investors that included representatives from local banks, investment firms, venture capital individuals, and had a group discussion where the businesses could talk about their pain points and get feedback from a wide variety of resources. And so again, we sought the feedback, and raising capital, it was in the forefront, and businesses showed a strong interest in pitch coaching and actually getting in front of investors. So in early March, we started organizing another event to coincide with Small Business Week in May. And unfortunately, that's where my story ends and the COVID pandemic starts. And so we're incredibly honored and grateful to be invited to participate in this program. And I guarantee that Maui is going to make the most of this opportunity this year again. And once again, it's just a fantastic opportunity. We are super grateful to be involved, and thank you very much.
Thank you,
Mahalo,
Jerry.
Jay. I'll turn it over to Diego. Take it away, Diego.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Joy. Now comes the part where I think you've heard quite a bit about how this is all about the entrepreneurs, and it's all about those small business owners, many of whom are not in tourism or doing amazing and different things, and who've had to pivot and change throughout the year. From March to now, so much has happened. So give them the space to talk about their business and their experience and what they think another business owner might take out of the program. So without further ado, I'm just going to turn the mic over to Jolene Hitzman of NoHo Home, who will introduce herself much better than I possibly could. So Jolene, go ahead.
Aloha mai kākou. I'm Jaylene Kanani. I am the owner and founder of NoHo Home. At NoHo Home, we do Hawaiian-inspired home decor. We tell our authentic stories, and we connect and we reimagine the Hawaiian aesthetic, and we are taking that globally. I am a proud native Hawaiian. I am also a proud member of Mana'up's third cohort. Mahalo to Mellie and the organization who nominated me to the ICIC program. A quick synopsis of what I felt I got out of it at the different levels of the program, I'd like to share with you right now. We had our opening session, which was actually fantastic because you got to see the 70 companies at all different levels here in Hawaii. And you realize that there is really an ecosystem looking for assistance, mentorship, but is already doing very well. You know, they have small businesses, but they are thriving in their small businesses, but they're looking to grow and expand, also to maybe fix little gaping holes that exist. So that networking opportunity, the resources, and then the speakers that came in to talk with us were phenomenal. It was also an opportunity to flesh out ideas with our peers here in Hawaii in small breakout groups. Then we went through our virtual workshops, which was very educational and well-paced. And a unique thing that maybe came out of it was small group sessions, study groups that banded together to go through the program together and to really collaborate. And again, all businesses that were brick and mortar, healthcare services, flooring stores, e-commerce, fashion, just all different walks that had been nominated and were participating. I was very fortunate to be able to attend the national convention in Boston. It was bitterly cold, but it was a fantastic event. Being able to connect in person with the leadership of ICIC, as well as with Kaiser Permanente and their partners. So, you know, we got to talk face-to-face, one-on-one with a lot of the partners and sponsors, which was very beneficial. And then also the peer-to-peer. I attended an awards banquet, and what really stuck out in my mind was the amount of scaling that these businesses had done, these alumni businesses that had gone through the program, you know, years prior, who, you know, were now with very large, very successful, businesses, and that were now winning awards. Sorry, one sec. That were doing 10 million, 30 million, 50 million in business. And it really, you know, living on an island and being from a Native Hawaiian background, unfortunately, there's some systemic ideas of how big you can get. And attending the national convention really kind of dispelled that and shared really the amount of growth that would be achievable. Last but not least, as an alumni, the one-on-one mentorship that we have access to that specifically will work on the niche areas of your business that you would like coaching on. ICIC nominated me as one of Goldman Sachs' 10,000 businesses, and then the opportunities to access capital. Those are all extremely valuable, and I'm very appreciative for, and I'll turn it back over to you all. Mahalo.
Thank you, Jolene. That was fantastic. Want to not take any time and just turn the mic over to Stacy Katakura of Accumulus.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Katakura. I am the president and founder of Accumulus. We're an outsourced accounting and CFO advisory firm. We serve, so we essentially serve as an end-to-end accounting department for small and medium-sized businesses here in Honolulu. Our industry focus is we do serve a lot of nonprofit clients. We have professional services, healthcare companies, retail, restaurants, and the like. I've been in business for about a little over 3 years. I am, and just a little bit about my background. I've had a long career in multinational companies. I started my career at Ernst & Young. I was the CFO of a publicly traded real estate company. So I'm not, I think, your typical entrepreneur. I'm relatively new to entrepreneurship, and I've been, I've because I think my career had been in a lot of large multinational companies. I feel like being new to entrepreneurship, I wasn't exposed to a lot of the different. My career is mostly in finance and accounting, and things like marketing, business development, just building out my website, all those things that a lot of small businesses have to do, and wear a lot of different hats. That was really new to me, and I think this program had started to provide support and mentorship in a lot of the areas that I haven't had to spend a lot of time in my career doing. I thank Joy, a very good friend Joy, for nominating me, and I think there's been a lot of support in the local community to help me get through the 3 years of business that I have gone through. I have to admit that the program. I'm very thankful that the program has been really flexible with me. I took a lot away from. I started the program in October with the kickoff session and the conference locally here. There was a lot of really, really great speakers, most of which I believe were from Harvard Business School. The founder of ICCC is a Harvard Business School professor, and so there was a lot of amazing speakers that I took a lot away from. Unlike Jaylene, I wasn't, shortly after that, I was diagnosed with cancer, so I wasn't able to completely participate in all the rest of the program. But I was able to re-engage shortly before the start of the pandemic. So I took a little bit of a break, but I am kind of still in the process of going through the program. I've been able to still access a lot of the same resources through the mentorship, the group, the support groups, the websites, and was also nominated as Jaylene was for the 10,000 small businesses through Goldman Sachs. Looking forward to being able to further my entrepreneurship development through that as well. But that so I just want to thank everyone for just supporting my journey as an entrepreneur, as a minority, as a woman, small business owner, through programs like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you continuing with the program through all the struggles and through your health issues. Last but not least, I want to turn the mic over to Ned Davis of Maui Innovation Group. Maui and Ned may share not only some of his experience with the program, but how his company has been able to pivot and prosper during the COVID pandemic. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ned.
Thanks very much. Yes, I'm Ned Davis from Maui Innovation Group, and we're a little R&D engineering house. So, not per se architectural engineering or anything like that. We do cool inventions. We're working on a valve that never leaks when the rest of the world started leaking with Corona here. But yeah, it was I want to first say I enjoyed the program very, very much, and that first kickoff day with the business school professors was like a dream come true to me. I had always wanted to go to business school, and it's like I was sitting in the front row for a veritable smorgasbord of different professors from Harvard and other business schools. And then Jerry and NEDB set up a number of fantastic, sort of little mini seminars and working lunches and such on Maui, and that was a fantastic program. We started a mentoring relationship to improve my pitch deck to go out for capital. And then, as everyone knows, Corona struck the world. But sort of the interesting thing that happened to us, and I was concerned even going into Corona. We weren't in the strongest position. I guess no one's ever ready for an existential event like this. But we were sort of scouting around for more work already, and then the lockdown started, and I said, "Oh my gosh, we're just done." But with the help of MEDB, we were able to get a contract to build emergency ventilators, not super fancy ventilators, but emergency ventilators for the local hospital, to sort of bolster their surge capacity. And with that, we were able to start up operations again. We were able to keep everything else going. I think I'm going to have nightmares about sourcing aluminum plates for the rest of my life here. That's tough to do during a pandemic. But we worked every day for 3 months straight. I think my employees had Mother's Day and Memorial Day off, and we ended up building 28 ventilators for the hospital. So it's been a wild ride. Fascinating. My engineering degrees are from Hopkins, so I've been around medical equipment and medical research for my life. But I ended up on a conference call with doctors and professors and people working on these ventilators all over the country, and every day, including Easter Sunday, we were on calls. So almost like a front row seats for this thing, and a fascinating journey. And we've been able to survive it, and maybe one of these days we'll get back to those notes on the pitch deck and improve that too. So thank all of you so very much, and especially NEDB too. Really saved us here. So thank you.
Thank you, Ned. Again, I think these three alumni definitely show the diversity of entrepreneurship in Hawaii, the wealth of creativity and talent, and the variety of businesses that are out there. So hope to see more of them, hope to see another 70 or 75 equally amazing businesses. We hope to continue to connect with these businesses. Ned, the moment you are ready to get back to working on that pitch deck, give us a call. We'll make sure that the coach is ready to support with that.
Thank you.
So the next part obviously is, at this point you're saying, I've heard a lot of different parts of the program, but what is it overall? And the ICCC program basically is made of 4 components. The first being that opening seminar that you already heard about, obviously this year, the virtual elements of the program. So in moving virtual, we went from a 1 day long day of instruction to 2 half days of instruction, still getting professors from different top level business schools to teach strategy, entrepreneurship, talent management, entrepreneurial finance, but all particularly focused this year on applying those same concepts to survival, to thriving in a existential crisis moment. Asking all the webinar providers, the next part of our program, the support part, is a wealth of webinars. And the webinars are, again, focused on what do business owners need at this moment. It gives us an opportunity not only to keep hearing from the business owners about what they need, but to adapt and to give them all exactly what they need at this precise moment, whether that's a webinar on what the PPP is, or an upcoming webinar on what the forgiveness part of the PPP program will be, or what do businesses need, retail businesses that were closing in March needed help on getting online and starting to sell their product online as fast as possible. Or at this point, we're getting more and more calls for doing a webinar on mental health for business owners, because so many of the business owners are so focused on keeping their business afloat, worrying about their employees, worrying about their communities, worrying about their families, and so often they give so little time to themselves and to their own mental health. So a wide variety of topics, being very careful this year and very conscious this year of adapting the content pretty much every month, every week to what's going on regionally, and adapting the program to the region as well as to the times that we're going through, and making sure that the conversation is very much in the moment. The second element, as I mentioned, was the webinars, and I've gone through that a little bit. And then the third element being coaching. I think Ned mentioned the coaching for capital coaching, and having the opportunity to get connected with a capital provider, whether it be a lender or an equity provider or a CDFI, to really take a look at your ask. Is it a pitch deck? Is it just a set of documents? What are you trying to raise? What type of capital? And often getting the answers that business owners might not get in a business meeting. The fact that this person is a coach and not a lender in that particular moment gives them the opportunity to tell you what may be going wrong or what may be missing from your pitch that is not putting you in the best position to access capital. The other side of coaching, which I think Jolene mentioned, is the opportunity to get general business technical assistance. We partner up with SCORE, with the SBDC, with chambers, and we have an ongoing relationship with an organization in California called Pacific Community Ventures that helps provide one-on-one coaching to the business owners, and a menu of things, whether it be your marketing plan or whether it's getting in touch with your numbers and understanding what your bookkeeper is talking about and getting the right reports so that you as a business owner can understand what's going on in your business. And some of these relationships can go on and have gone on for now a year and a half and more. We are also able to match people with more than one coach. So we have a business owner in San Diego, for example, who's at this point taken advantage of 5 different coaching relationships. It allowed her to open a second location, to get the funding that she needed for that, and to continue to have a monthly check-in and a way of being accountable to herself and to her goals, as well as creating a network of people that she can continue to check in with every month. And the last element is sort of our capstone of the national conference. You've heard from Jolene about the experience of coming to the national conference, bitterly cold in November in Boston, but the warmth that you get from connecting to hundreds of other business owners from across the country. This year, we will host cohorts in 17 geographies, and a number of alumni from geographies outside of our cities are also being able to participate because of the virtual format. We've had people from Tampa participate in the Boston cohort, including some people from Hawaii who participated in the Boston cohort. So that connection is already happening, but is amplified, empowered at the national conference. participants get a chance not only to continue their education there as well, but to watch a gentler, kinder Shark Tank where some of the participants from this year get feedback on their pitch in an educational way that allows other participants to learn, get inspired, and watch and see what it is that they can take from that experience to their own. And so that is the 4 elements of the program. Anna Marie will go on to the next slide. This year, obviously, we have adjusted, as I mentioned, to, give me 1 second here on my computer first, adjusting for COVID-19. What that has meant is obviously, as I already alluded to, adjusting the curriculum to focus on survival and business recovery. And the professors are more focused than ever on the moment, on crisis management, on business resilience, on how do you take strategy lessons and apply them to the moment, apply them to how to make a strategy in a moment when you don't know when you'll be able to reopen fully, how you'll be able to reopen fully, and what that might look like 6 months from now or a year from now, and what do you do to pivot? How do you go from valves that don't leak to respirators in a couple of weeks? And is this a ongoing, permanent change in your business, or is it simply this is what's going to take for a year, and then in a year from now we'll be back to valves or whatever it is that's next for Ned and the innovation group? Offering the seminars, the coaching, the networking, the experiences in a virtual format has been important, and making sure that these are not just webinars. Those have a place, but these are learning experiences, they're engagements, they're experiences. The power of sitting at a table with a business that wasn't in your field and getting an opportunity to exchange ideas and coming up with something that you hadn't thought of was important in physical form. It remains important in a virtual form, and finding those ways to continue to do that. And I think this idea of CEO groups, of mini cohorts, of groups of 5, 6, 7 businesses coming together, learning, strategizing, continuing, pushing each other through the program, we've sort of formalized that and opened opportunities for that to exist on our app, through email, through Zoom calls, etc., and giving people an opportunity to continue their learning. And we expanded the coaching program. Traditionally, coaching happened after the opening seminar, after you had a chance to see a couple webinars, but this year we opened the doors to business owners before they, in some cases, as soon as they applied to get emergency technical assistance and start to navigate what they needed to navigate today. The alumni obviously have had a chance to do that. We've welcomed a number of alumni to come back because the program is a little bit different, because it's always a little bit different. It's always you are always in a different place than you may have been when you did the program a year ago. But in this particular case, we think that there is a place for alumni who were thinking about strategy in wide terms to suddenly think of strategy in very immediate terms, who were thinking of how to build employee culture a year ago. You were building employee culture in a retail format and you were seeing people every day. Now, some of them were furloughed, some of them are working from home. How do you continue to build culture, support your employees, and build your company in a different way than what may have been thinking last year? So I'm just going to move very quickly on to the nomination process and the application process. the main thing again is please help us identify these stellar companies, these amazing companies that need the support. Identify them, let us know who they are, let them know that we will be calling and reaching out to them so that they don't get confused by a call from an organization in Boston. And we will do all the follow-up. We'll lead them through a very short application, interview every one of them, have a conversation, make sure that this is the program for them. If they're still at startup stage and need a different kind of support, we're happy to coordinate with Mellie, with Jerry, with others, Impact Hub and more to provide them with an introduction to the right support. And of course, we'll keep you updated on all the nominations. Now, if you're a business owner and want to skip step 1, 2, and 3 and go straight to application, please do so. And again, jump from that to that point. I will highlight, of course, that this program is tuition free. So it is open to all businesses thanks to the generosity of Kaiser. And also point out that since it is virtual, the part that Jerry so generously provided last year to the businesses of Maui to paying their way to Oahu won't be quite as important, but it is open to all businesses across Hawaii and in other geographies. So if your reach is beyond Hawaii and there are businesses that you would like to have participate in the program, please connect them. And the last thing is the dates. So the cohort will take place, or the opening seminars will take place on October 13th and 15th. So please get your nominations and applications as soon as possible. And so with that, I will open it up for questions. Amber, do we have any questions?
Yes. One question is, given that the program, oh, sorry, I apologize. If businesses are unavailable to attend the Hawaii training days, could they participate in a different cohort?
And so if I understand your question, Amber, it's whether a business in Hawaii is not able to participate on those particular dates that we just mentioned, if they could participate somewhere else at a different time. Absolutely. We have 4 other cohorts right after the Hawaii dates. So we will work with business owners to make sure that they're able to participate at the time of their choosing and then be reconnected to the network in Hawaii.
Great.
Anna Marie, it looks like Amber's internet may have frozen.
Hi, Diego. This is Joy. We have a question in the chat box, very quick. It's from Tina from the Big Island. Aloha, Tina. And the question is this program open to nonprofits or just for-profits? Would you mind answering that? Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. The program is open to nonprofits as well as for-profit businesses. We'd love to see the decision maker, obviously, but nonprofits at the end of the day are still businesses. They employ people, they build culture, they have a strategy, they have to market, they have to create a market for themselves, they have to service people. So absolutely nonprofits are welcome. And we usually get about 10% of the cohort nationally is nonprofits.
Great, thank you. And maybe since we're a little over time, we could just quickly wrap up with a final question.
And Dennis, no, and nominating organization does not need to do anything to enroll as such. You can just begin to nominate. I encourage you to get in touch with our team in case you need any of the materials, in case we can help you with crafting the language. But if you have a company in mind right now and want to just send us an email or go to the link, go on the website and nominate, please do so, and we'll keep in touch with you as a nominator.
Great, thank you, Diego. So we're a few minutes over time, so we'll just wrap up here. This is not the end, but the beginning. As Diego mentioned, all folks who are registered, you will be getting emails follow up with links and the materials that Diego and the ICCC team mentioned about. And also, we will be in touch with you to follow up, but appreciate your time with us today to learn, and more importantly, how we can all kokua and collaborate to elevate our economic development agenda, especially during these difficult times. And, you know, I'm really proud of my organization, Kaiser Permanente, which I've been a member of, you know, longer than I've been employed. And I can't say enough good things about how, you know, it just sort of amazes me how an organization that is healthcare, that, as Senator Wakai mentioned, you know, you would not think of first as being sort of a prominent player in the economic development field. So the agenda is clear, and you know, let's roll up our sleeves. Want to mahalo all the partners here. Let's work together and make this happen. And we look forward to and we'll count on your partnership. Mahalo nui. Have a good rest of the day, and please be safe. Aloha.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, everyone.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Joy.
you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.